from isoldmyhouse.com. Stay woke. America's wokest states in 2024 ranked. It's a little bit older, January 15, 2024, but they say woke refers to being conscious and actively engaged with significant societal realities and concerns, particularly those related to racial and social justice. That's exactly not what it means. It is a complete detachment from reality, and you are going to force your beliefs onto everybody, no matter what the truth says. And it actually has nothing to do with politics, right? Because the days of having a political discussion are long gone. But it continues, people with political leanings towards the left wing, i.e. liberal, are considered to be more woke, according to the Pew Research Center. We've ranked the states according to the percentage of people who claim to be liberal in their political opinions. And again, they constantly talk about politics and political opinions. Several YouTubers are, oh, I can't believe you would just attack someone that you disagree with politically. But obviously, that is proof that it is no longer about politics at all. It is about force-feeding somebody absolute nonsense. This article is designed to present factual information emphasized by the data, focusing on objectivity rather than expressing subjective opinions. We included Washington, D.C. in these rankings because it is a very important part of the woke culture. Next, you will find the state rankings from least to most woke. And one could make the argument that D.C. is one of the most quote-unquote woke places on the planet, but it's not really woke. It is just the epitome of the swamp, and there's a lot of crossover there. You know, the waters are quite muddy. So, number one, I guess, least woke is Alabama. The state of Alabama comes in first, considered the most conservative state, with 12% of people being liberals, which is the lowest in the entire country, with many people saying they're conservatives, 50%. It has more traditional views, 29% are moderates, and 8% don't know yet. The survey was conducted with 511 participants in total. Louisiana. In Louisiana, the survey findings unveiled a predominant distribution of perspectives, with 50% leaning towards conservatism, 30% adopting a moderate stance, and 14% aligning with different viewpoints. Additionally, 6 of the 465 participants expressed uncertainty by selecting don't know. And here's another thing, too. Like, they talk about political disagreements, which it's obviously not policy anymore. I mean, these people are creating things. They're coming up with absolute nonsense. It's no longer about politics. And the same thing could be said for actual political leanings, right? So if you are anybody to, slightly right of Hillary Clinton, then that's far right. If you're a liberal, ask Bill Maher or Stephen A. Smith, or Don Lemon even. If you agree with 99 of their weirdo leftist liberal talking points, but disagree with one, then you're now on the right. They kick you to the curb. It's absolutely ridiculous. So everything, the words, the meanings, it's all been completely bastardized and has zero meaning. In Louisiana, the survey findings unveiled a predominant distribution of perspectives, with 50% leaning towards conservatism. Okay, we already read this. So they don't know, which is fair because the words don't mean anything anymore. So how could you know? Which is part of what they're trying to do, is create absolute chaos. Arkansas, yes. With 14% of people here being liberals in a 311 participant survey, the state has more conservative beliefs. People responded with 42% conservatism, 38% moderates, and 6% undecided. South Dakota, I know this fairly well. They got a good flag too. In South Dakota, the survey results revealed a pronounced distribution of perspectives, with 47% leaning towards conservatism, 32% adopting a moderate stance, and 15% aligning with different viewpoints. Additionally, 5% of the 305 participants expressed uncertainty by selecting I don't know. And once again, nobody has checked the liberal box, because when you check the liberal box, when you tell people you're a liberal, you're basically just saying, I cannot be rationed with. I've signed on for all of this stuff, and no amount of facts, no change in knowledge is going to sway my opinion because I have been successfully brainwashed. Of course, they would never say that, but that's exactly what happened. And here we are in South Carolina, one of the... Oh, wait, go back. Wait, where do we go? South Carolina. The ads on here are crazy. One of the least woke states in the U.S. is coming in fifth with only 15% liberals here based on a 495 participant survey. It shows a more conservative population of 43%. Additionally, 43% say they're moderates, while 6% remain undecided. So these are the least woke states. Seems like good places to be, where they're not going to be, the political regime that is not going to be completely overbearing and take your kids away for failure to cut their dick off. West Virginia, see, this thing is bouncing around like crazy. Okay, West Virginia. West Virginia's survey showcased a distinctive distribution of views, with 47% gravitating towards conservatism, 30% embracing moderation, and 16% aligning with different viewpoints. Notably, 6% of the 309 participants indicated uncertainty. Yeah, so nobody knows. Nobody knows, which is exactly what they're trying to do, because they've completely changed the meaning of all the words. Wyoming. And look, I assume that this is going to be all fairly similar. Okay, 41% leaning towards conservatism. And still we have nobody. They say, oh, I don't know, rather than saying I'm a liberal. That's how poisonous the entire thing has become. That's how poisonous the left-wing agenda has become, is that. And we see this with Drea De Matteo, and there was that black woman on BET who said, you know, I voted for Biden, but I'm going to vote for Trump now.
So in 2008 and 2012, you voted for?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. 2016?
I voted for Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton. 2020?
Donald Trump.
Biden. And who will you vote for in 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Everything has done a complete 180 to where you could basically be assaulted and the criminals would run free if you wore a MAGA hat in 2016 or 2017. Now, it's all opposite, and people are embarrassed to tell you that they voted for Beau Biden, and you know, basically saying, I'm sorry, which I can kind of appreciate. Now, obviously, there's the handful of people in the mainstream media and the weirdos. We see it with Beau Biden and the Transgender Day of Visibility. That's the last vestige left. You alienated the gamers, you alienated the sneakerheads, you alienated real women, obviously conservatives, obviously old school liberals, union Democrats. All of those people are gone because you guys pushed it way too far. You should have went back to the Democrat dungeon several years ago and came up with an idea that people like, but of course they won't do that. They're just going to push and steamroll, and that's why you got articles like, why is the Breakfast Club talking to Candace Owens, even though she's black, but she's not going to parrot every single talking point of the establishment left, so we can't platform her hate. I mean, we see it time and time again. Tucker Carlson, it goes on. Look, okay, so Wisconsin, look, we're going to go through these pretty quick because it looks like most of these people are fairly sane. Embracing moderate. Okay, here we go. 19% aligning with liberal viewpoints. So there's one in the few states where people are willing to admit that they are liberal. But even the word liberal doesn't mean anything anymore, right? Like, they just want to. Liberal is now, okay, yeah, you want to have abortion up through kindergarten, and if you don't, you can have the baby, but make sure to cut its dick off. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, okay? Mississippi, Utah, Indiana, and shout out Indiana. I think this is where Victoria Sparks is from, who's been fairly based recently. There's like a weird butt pillow for seniors. Georgia, of course, where big, fat, furious, phony Fanny Pack Willis is out there trying to get the orange man. Texas, Ohio, Nebraska. These are all the smelly flyover states. How dare these people, right? This is the population of white rule rage. So says Mika Brzezinski and those two gentlemen that were speaking about how we're going to lose the democracy to white rule rage.
I mean, we lay out the fourfold interconnected threat that white rural voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this, so we provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech. They're most likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy. They're also the most strongly white nationalist and white Christian nationalists. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
So you mentioned.
And, you know, without being a conspiracy theorist or a noticer, those two guys are also part of, you know, the group that is huge in pushing the trans identity. You know, Kanye said, I'm not going to say what kind of doctor it was. I would never draw those conclusions. That's just a bridge too far, right? I mean, it's weird how they get mad when certain people notice that black people are committing most of the crime, or that Hollywood is mostly run by an elitist group. Dave Chappelle had a great joke about it.
It's just a rule, you know, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
But you can't notice those things, otherwise you will be shunned from society. Missouri, Idaho. I'm just trying to get to the wokest states at this point, which I guess Hawaii would be pretty woke. Let's see what it says. Hawaii's political landscape is diverse, with 30% identifying as conservatives, 42 as moderates, and 21 as liberals. So still, even there in Hawaii, there's more moderates than liberals, because the term liberal has come to mean absolutely insane. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, New Mexico, Kentucky, Iowa, Arizona. Let's see what they say about Arizona. This is a place I know fairly well, which you got to take all of this with a grain of salt, because as I know from driving around the Phoenix metro area for many days, many months, hours, you would constantly see FJB, Kerry Lake for governor stickers, but somehow Cartel Katie Hobbs was the most popular. And she won by not debating, because she knew the machine was going to go to work for her.
Why not debate your opponent? If you believe your opponent is, has issues in spreading conspiracy theories about a stolen election and so on, and is not being truthful with the people of Arizona, why then not get on the debate stage and debate her?
You know, not only is Kerry Lake, has she centered her entire platform around this election denialism, I didn't want to give her a bigger stage to do that. But additionally, she has shown that she's not interested in having any kind of substantive conversation. She's only interested in creating a spectacle.
But
and I didn't want to be.
If you were in the same space with her, wouldn't it be easier to knock it down in front of everyone, in front of the most people? Because you're not stopping her from spreading whatever you believe that she is spreading. By not debating her, she can go on television, she can talk about it, she can go in front of the people of Arizona every single day and talk about it, but you're not confronting her on it. And it seems like it would be an easy fix if you stood up on a debate stage and confronted her about these issues.
Look, we're 6 days out from the election, and our campaign strategy is our campaign strategy. So we're moving forward. I'm continuing to make my case to the voters of Arizona. Whether or not we debated in this race is not going to decide this election. So, we made a decision, didn't want to be a part of her spectacle, and she's not, she won't answer these tough questions to real reporters. She only talks to fake news.
But Secretary, it's not just her that you won't debate. You also did not debate your Democratic primary opponent, Marco Lopez. Why? And have you ever?
I was miles ahead of him. miles ahead of him in the race and won handily. It's a totally different situation here.
The state of Arizona has 23% liberals or woke people. Additionally, it has 39% conservatives. 31% of people are saying they're moderate, and a minority, 7% saying they simply don't know. The total number of participants was 653. And the don't know, you would think it's right. That is a vote for the liberals, because that's you saying, I'm not going to ask any questions. I don't know anything about this, which is exactly what they want. They want low information, low IQ people who are just going to go along to get along and not question a tiny little bit of it. Because as soon as you question one thing, that is enough to make you public enemy number one. And then here's Alaska, Nevada, Michigan, Florida. Oh, Florida among the most woke, I guess, right? Did this go from least? Yeah, Alabama was first, least woke, and now Florida is one of the most woke. Okay. In Florida, the survey exposed a diverse range of political affiliations, with 37% identifying as conservatives, 31% as moderates, and 24% as liberals. Additionally, 8% of respondents selected don't know. Again, that's a vote for the libtards, and it seems like almost everywhere, the liberals are in the minority, but for whatever reason, they have the most amount of political pull, and they're bullies and they're authoritarians, which I guess is because they are in the minority, so they have to be so extreme, and they're not, as we know, they're not going to try and change your mind. They're not going to try to explain anything to you. They're going to say, you shouldn't talk. Why are you even here? Candace is black. She shouldn't go on a black show because she might sway some people. Same thing with Kanye, even Kyrie to a lesser extent. Minnesota, okay, I guess that makes sense, right? Like, we know how they're the picture of woke policing, because we had to set the entire country on fire because of a dope fiend in Minneapolis. Kansas, I guess so. Illinois, that makes sense. And we're just going to replace all of the black Chicago residents with illegals, because they're going to do exactly as we say. They're not going to ask too many questions. And even if they do ask some questions, we'll just throw more money at the problem. New Jersey, what do they say about New Jersey? With 886 participants, New Jersey comes in 13th, with 28% of the population being woke or liberals, while 29% lean towards conservative lifestyles and 37% said they weren't. So still, even in New Jersey, there's still less libtards than any other affiliation. I guess if you add in the I don't know, that kind of breaks even. New Hampshire, Colorado, I guess that Maryland, yeah, that's the swamp. So that it's also strange that Florida's on here. California, that makes perfect sense. California, Minneapolis, Illinois, Oregon, these are places where this ideology comes from. I guess it comes from the political regime. But even then, it's like Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom and San Francisco Mayor London Breed, or even New York City Mayor Eric Adams, they're not coming up with this. Somebody behind the curtain is coming up with it and pushing it on all of us. In California, political affiliations were distributed as follows: 31% conservative, 34% moderate, and 29% liberal. 6% responded, I don't know. So even in California, there are more conservatives and moderates than liberals. But if you add the I don't know, you might start to break even. So this is why we're seeing such panic from the regime. This is why they're freaking out about everything, because even in a place like California, they are not the majority. But we're supposed to listen to everything they say, and when somebody who is in the majority wants to make a point, they just say, nope, you're not allowed to talk here. Absolute insanity. You would think in California there would be more liberals than anything. That's what we're told constantly. But it's all fake. Same thing with just like, okay, I can use the term liberal and stone cold stupid interchangeably, but the media thinks that everybody's really stupid and we can't see what's going on, but we all know. And even, I don't know, I sold my house. They have to admit that the Wokies in California are still in the minority. Wild. Washington, Rhode Island, Oregon. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. What do they have to say about Oregon? In sixth place, Oregon, where 30% are conservative, 34% moderate, and 30 liberal. So even in Oregon, they are still the same amount as the other affiliations. Again, when you count, I don't know, you might come a little bit you might take the lead, because I don't know is the same as I'm a libtard and you can do whatever you want. I'm not going to question any of it. New York, number 48. In New York, political leanings were reported as 29% conservative, 34% moderate, and 31% liberal. So the moderates still outweigh the liberals in New York and California. So why are we listening to these people as though they are the end-all, be-all? This has to stop. Massachusetts. Okay, hang on. Before we get to Massachusetts, let's read about Vermont really quick. In one of the most woke states in the U.S., Vermont, political affiliations were distributed as follows: 30% conservative, 32% moderate, and 35% liberal. Okay, so it takes, you have to get all the way down to the most woke states to get a majority of liberals. Absolute insanity. And last, but I'm sure certainly not least, Massachusetts. And this is where, you know, the awfuls are housing migrants because they cook for them.
It's a delight, and it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking.
¿Te gusta la ocupación?
Sí.
The awfuls, the affluent white female liberals.
And it's super nice having a Spanish-speaking Haitian chef in my apartment until it comes time to get them out, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do then. But they say, the survey findings revealed a diverse range of political leanings in Massachusetts. 36% identified as liberal, indicating strong support for progressive policies. Additionally, 23% of respondents identified as conservative. Moderates constituted the largest group at 35%, emphasizing a significant portion of adopting a balanced approach. A notable 6% responded with don't know. The insights are based on a survey with a sample size of 704 participants. So 36% identified as liberal, but then moderates constituted the largest group at 36% identified as liberal, but moderates constituted the largest group at 35. What? No, it doesn't. Okay. Absolutely insane, though. And as you can see, you have to get to the wokest, most out of control states to find that the libtards have even a tiny lead on the regular America-loving, common sense people. Even in California, even in New York, the wokies are not the majority. So why are we treating them as such?